Well, welcome back, everyone. Couple of things before we pick back up. Just a reminder that Chris won't be around for a couple of months. Faendal the elf is off doing soul searching and sorting out his head. Other elements, because D&D lives in my brain rent-free and I needed something to write, I've started a blog. WelshDM.wordpress.com, where I'm just going to spam every random idea that I have to do with D&D.
Good and bad.
Magic items and spells every week, and periodic other things like monsters, and me going through other concepts. There's one going up that will have gone up by the time this goes live on YouTube, talking about an alternative attunement system, which people might find interesting. But yeah, that's there, and look at it if you want. And for those of you playing, you might see sneak peeks of monsters and magic items that turn up later. You might. And be horrified.
Analyzing the blog every week, like.
But yes, that is there. But unless any of you have anything you'd like to announce, Sarah, with all of your wonderful cosplays.
No, go check them out if you want.
We will get going. So, previously, having returned to the Adamant Citadel after about 2 months away from the place you call home, you decided you needed some much R&R and decided to spend all of your fortune that you had gathered in Bayfalls at a spa day before drinking the night away, gambling, and in drinking contests at the Emerald Goblet. Some of you had disturbing dreams, which definitely didn't help with the hangover. But nonetheless, you then completed a day of shopping around Bayfalls. A couple of you picking up previous commissions, one of you ordering another one, which should be delivered back to the Citadel relatively soon. You then returned to the guild, where your request to enter into the mausoleum of the guild founder, Emiria Seren, was approved, considering the rampant or escalating concern that is your quest. Faendal, through the help of Rambear spells and other aids from the rest of you, was able to find the secret panel in which were contained the Seren texts that he had found mention of previously. With those in hand and the mausoleum being re-sanctified, Faendal took his leave from the group. 700 years of memories having come flooded back, he needed some time to kind of process them. He might go off on his own for a bit. He'll also research in the time that you guys are completing whatever you get up to now, in the hopes of being able to prepare you for your final confrontation with Xenodis down the line. You lot agreed that it best deal with Nyah's cursed sword sooner rather than later, and Thrungi reminding you all that his former home might provide an answer of some kind. You departed from Faendal and began to prepare to head off. So that's where we will pick up. It's kind of middle of the day at this point. Is there anything you guys would like to do around the Citadel? Anything you would like to do to prepare? Messages you would like to send? Or anything to that effect?
None for me.
Are we all back as a group somewhere?
Yeah. So you're at the Adamant Citadel. You're in a communal. You're in the main hall, just gathered at a table, grabbing some food.
Okay.
You do know a couple of things. One, Nyah's cloak, which won't be returned until probably in the morning. And I doubt she wants to leave without that. You also have things that you might want to send off via delivery bird that you bought in Bay Falls last time. And you know the guild has contacts in most civilized society that may prove useful to you.
We should probably find out what was happening in the north since Thrungi left. I don't know
Yeah,
if
probably a
he's keeping up
good
to date.
idea.
Yeah, when I accidentally caused any political crises again, Nyah.
We could probably go ask to see if like anyone can give us a report of like the situation.
Yeah, with a cow guy whose name I haven't remembered.
Vandellis!
Thank you! Would cow guy be able to help us?
Jesus, do your players care about your NPCs? I don't really know.
We care about Emilio and Ram, and that's it.
Fair enough. Yeah, you did buy Emilio a friendship bracelet, which is still on your person.
Yeah, that's going to be shipped out.
Okay, good.
That's next on the list, don't
Okay,
worry.
next on the list. Okay, yes, you can head to Vandellis and ask for kind of an update. For the sake of brevity, basically the current update is Kisdumans is a fairly stable nation. Second most politically significant on the continent. You've been to its capital before now, and the work you did about 6 months ago now, probably, to clear out the most northern hold was greatly appreciated, and that has since been resettled. It's still working on becoming a functioning hold, but people have returned there.
That was only 6 months ago.
I'd have to double check the maths, but it's definitely not been a year, because you completed that, came back down, Invasion of Bones happened, couple of months, yeah. It's been less than a year.
Wow. Time doesn't fly sometimes.
Yes, but he then gets on to the specific point of interest. The city known as Karak Grungon has been resettled in the last year or so. Exact accounts are a bit sketchy just due to distance and dwarves being pretty reluctant to share things. The dwarf known as Thane Loric Harlson led the retaking of the city and now holds rulership of Karak Grungon. As much that could be has been salvaged and rebuilt, and it is once again proving a useful city to Kisdumans as a nation. It is the primary merchant city with Adhelm. They are not neighbouring city-states, they cross the Bleakfen Steppes, but it is essentially the closest city to Adhelm for that trading purpose. Yeah, it's been resettled. It's still mostly settled by dwarves, not many other people are there at this point, but trade lines have reopened. And he also gives you a name, Umnir Marblebrow, who is a dwarf contact up in Kisdumans who is based in the city, who, should you travel up there, could provide you with resources, information, or at least a guide of where to stay, essentially. Is there any particular questions you have that you want to ask?
How do you spell every single one of those things you just said?
Yeah, sure.
No, we can do that later.
No, so Umnir is Umnir. Marblebrow, as in marble the stone, forehead.
Marble brow.
And Thane Lorik, Lorik, Harlson, Harlson.
H-A-R...
L-S-S-O-N.
And Carrot Green. Carrot Green.
Karak. K-A-R-A-K. G-R-U-N-G-R-N. Gringorn.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Cool.
Do we know the best route to get there?
You
'Cause we didn't go
have-
that far into the mountains before.
You went a different way through the mountains. You went north
Yeah.
rather than west from the capital, essentially. Give me a survival check. With advantage, you have a ridiculous amount of guild resources and maps and everything.
15. 'Cause
15.
I can roll terrible today.
That's more than enough, as I say, with multiple maps. Basically, you can tell from the map. It's annoying from where Carrot Gringon is based on where the Adamant Citadel is. It's essentially a straight line northwards from where you are right now. However, straight line northwards takes you through the one place in the world no one ever should really go. Deeply unsafe. Is the Ashen Waste, which was the site of the last cataclysm, the one thing you're currently trying to stop, and is a region of the continent that the guild takes excessive steps to make sure no one actually enters. So the idea of a guild member then entering it would be a bit weird. You could try it, but yeah. The other two options are you could go up the west side of the encircling mountains, which would take you back through Vandis, up through Adhelm, and then easterly from Adhelm, which you would know at this point would take you past Nyah's family, if you went that direction. Or there's the other route, which you go eastward, head up the coast, cross the... what's the name of it? The Fell Channel, as it's known, which is a gully or essentially in the coastline that leads into the Ashen Waste. So it's a bit of a cursed crossing, but at least it's safe to cross rather than going through the Ashen Waste. And then up around the mountains from that point towards Carrot Gringon. I can't remember the last time I shared a map with you, but it's somewhere.
I'm looking at my own post from the 27th of October 2020.
Yeah, Carrot
For the
Gringon
map.
is the very far western edge of the Kisdaman's mountain range. The Darak Nez Mountains, as they're known. It's literally the final point of those mountains is where Carrot Gringon sits.
Could we get a boat like last time? Like up the coast?
You could. That would take 3 days to get from Bay Falls up to the capital. You also have a faster method of travel.
Turn into clouds.
Teleporting through trees as well.
You have to be familiar with the tree on
You
the
have to
other
know
end.
the tree, yeah.
But I mean, Adhelm doesn't. I feel like Nyah's been skirting around her whole family thing for a long time, and maybe
Well, we don't want to go through Vandis again. You know, we'd have to go through Vandis to get there, so it's really not worth it.
I
I
will
don't know.
also
We
say
could
it's
probably
longer
fart cloud
going
over
up
it. Yeah,
It's
but
a lot longer.
it's more juicy. And when else? When are we gonna get a chance to go back there? We're gonna next time we grab this orb, friggin' Xenitus is gonna come and kill us all, and that's it.
So there's no need to meet my family.
They seem like such a rich family. So much
Yes,
stuff.
they'd
so much
just be too
resources.
posh. You wouldn't feel comfortable in their presence. You know, it'd just be off-putting.
I don't know. I think I'm quite refined.
Besides, we don't have the time. You know, so we just have to do the quickest route. Maybe in the future, Rambear.
Maybe in a one shot. So the easiest route, I guess, is possibly Bayfall's boat. We can definitely fart cloud over Vandis, right? If we got to the border and then over.
Yeah, that would be doable if you went that way. I say, the shortest route would be to go up the eastern side, and you can do that via fog cloud. Your fog cloud you would estimate based on your experience, your knowledge of how fast you can travel in a fog cloud, and rough distances. You would end around the Fell Channel on your first day.
It's easy enough.
And then
Yeah,
day
we
2
can
would
do that.
get you to just outside Carraghrungal.
I'm dumb. Are we in Forlond right now? Or
Yeah, just
I'm looking at
just
the map.
west of Forlond.
okay, that the little like orange arrow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, there is also a map in the big old the notes document. If you feel like opening that shit up,
That might be easier.
I've got a
Thing to
map
look at.
section with 2 whole maps.
What's the other map?
Okay.
There is more than one.
Since we pretty much have like the journey down, can I go find out if my my one and only friend, the camp leader / my therapist, is he around, or did he go off
Yeah,
to fight
where
with
is
the
he?
rest of the guild?
Dallo,
God.
that's his name.
Yeah.
Dallo is around, actually. He is back having been one of the scouting members for the post where most of the guild is then headed to. He basically scouted out the area for them, and has been told he can kind of come back for now, having done his decent job. Yeah, he is around. What do you want to? You find him like sitting up on the walls, just kind of watching the day go past.
Okay. I'll have brought a snack for him, and I'll just sit down and be like, "Hey, you up for a quick catch up? How are you doing?"
Well, hey there. I haven't seen you in a while. Ooh,
Yeah, we've been off doing things.
pretty impressive things, I hope.
Well, they didn't end well.
No? What's up?
I'm gonna just kind of like very quickly summarize like the events and just kind of go like, so yeah, pretty much we're trying to help avoid another cataclysm, and we're not doing a very good job at it.
That's some
So it's
heavy
kind
stuff.
of yeah.
Well, hey. Look. I ain't gonna say it's gone well, but, you know, life never exactly treats us all fair, so, no. I spent some time with you, and we went and found that city of yours, and, you spoke about how, you were curious about whether your goddess was on your side, giving you the right path in life. And I don't know, goddess of fate seems to me like she probably knows what she's doing. Whether this is exactly to plan, I can't exactly say, but I mean, look, you're all alive, aren't you? You clearly have a reason to stop him, whether that be, you know, for the betterment of everyone else, which, thanks, by the way, or, you know, just personal vendetta, which, in this case, usually I'm not a fan of. I mean, usually I'm much more a fan of, you know, forgive and let things be guide, but I think in this case I can make a special situation, and I will join you in your relative disdain for this individual. How do you feel about the whole thing, though?
I need to be stronger. I think we all do. And we came back hoping that the guild could back us up, but you're all busy. I mean, you know, with good cause. There seems to be quite a lot going on.
Yeah, we're a busy lot these days, it seems. But what do you mean stronger? I mean, you're already tough? Is it just... You looking for?
I have died twice, but I don't want to keep being the weak link, if that makes sense.
I see. Look, it's part of the job. I've died once, so you're beating me there. Yeah, it wasn't fun. Bunch of gnolls. 3 spears at once. Still got the scars, and he like lifts up his shirt, and there's like 3 large kind of spear wounds. Fortunately, I, like you, had friends there to pick us up. And they don't see you as a burden. If they did, they wouldn't have brought you back. So, you know, don't be too hard on yourself when you're the one. I mean, ultimately, if what you've said is true, you've put yourself on the line for them. You're not a weak link, you're just the first one in the chain.
Thanks, that helps. We're gonna head off tomorrow morning, again. I'm gonna try and fix up this sword of mine. Remember the one that drove me kind of insane?
Yeah. Did you dealt with that, right?
Yeah, we banished the demon, but I think he's trying to come back. I've heard him a few times in my dreams, so the quicker I fix this, the better.
Yeah, I think so. And hey, talk about getting stronger. You make that thing into something useful. You got a mighty fine weapon by your side there.
It's the hope. But look, there's a sphere here in the guild, and obviously most of the guild members have left. I don't know if Xanadus is gonna come for it or not, but just be on your guard, okay? Because you don't know if he might come here. So just, I want you to be careful and to be warned.
I'll do my best to keep an eye out.
Okay.
Thanks for the warning.
Okay, well, I will see you when I come back. It is always good to have a friendly face here.
It's lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Make sure you do come back, yeah?
I will.
Where were you going again?
Oh, we're going to see the dwarves.
Do you mind bringing me back some ale?
Some dwarven ale?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll bring back the best I can find.
You're the best.
Okay.
And he goes back to kind of
My
like just
one friend.
dangling his feet off the side. For those wondering, Dallo is a wood elf ranger who hangs around the guild and is basically just a camp counselor. And I love
He's my
him.
therapist.
Is there anything else any of you would like to do while you're still at the guild?
Is there a place with birds that I can send off letters?
Yeah, there's a I was gonna say rookery, but it's technically full of eagles, falcons even, silver-crested falcons, the messenger birds of the guild. I'll see. It's a falconry. That's the term I'm looking for. Yeah, there is one of those, run by just a rather seasoned-looking human, probably an ex-adventurer. What do you want to do with the falcon?
I think you know what I want to do. Wait, did I not send it? Okay, well I want to send a friendship bracelet up to Emilio.
Sure.
But I'm worried that I've already done it. Well, if I haven't done it, I'm doing it now.
I don't think you've actually done it. I think you said you were definitely going to do it.
Okay, cool.
Do you send a message with it is the crucial thing, or is it just a bird with a friendship bracelet heading to the darkest, potentially most evil place on the continent? Second most evil place.
No, of course. I enlist the help of Balthazar and Thrungi in sourcing the finest ink and paper they can find.
You raid Faendal's cupboards, sure.
I take the most expensive stuff, and I ask them both if Rambear's gonna like try and scroll, you know, dip the nail in the ink, and try and scroll some shapes that look like letters. and ask them like if this looks good.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
Balthazar, roll me a deception check. Rambear doesn't know how to write.
That's a 5.
Roll insight, Rambear. With your +5. Anything but a 1.
Anything but a 1. Let's see. Insight. Rambear suspects that Balthazar's being quite nice to them, maybe too nice. Is going to ask that Balthazar rewrites this.
Yeah, of course.
Can you say, "Hi Emilio, thank you for all that you did for us when we were in Vandis. We're doing great, thank you. Heading up north soon. Have a good few days. Hope this friendship bracelet cheers you up. Lots of love. Goats of wrath."
I love it.
Yep.
Excellent.
I will write that down as
Will you write that
accurately as I
down?
can. Yep, exactly.
What if the Lord of Vandis intercepts this letter and he's just like, move out? There's nothing of this.
We'll find out what happens to that. Maybe we won't. Who knows?
Gonna use my animal skills, my animal handling skills, to talk to the bird and just say, "Hey, it's kind of messed up around there. Just don't look at anything too closely. Just fly to the big scary castle and then fly right back."
Roll me your choice: animal handling or persuasion.
I think we're gonna go with animal handling because I have a +9 and persuasion is like a 1. So 25.
25. But I mean, am I right in saying that because of your subclass, you can actively talk to beasts? Yeah, the bird just. It's like. Okay.
Yeah, I'm serious. Don't look at anything closely. I know you have really good eyesight. Just ignore it.
Blinkers on. Heading straight. Got it.
You'll know Emilio. Emilio's the grumpy one.
And he like puts a wing out and points at Thrungi.
Slightly less grumpy, actually.
Okay.
That's literally all I want to do. Sorry.
Okay. Just by wandering around the guild, just a couple of that you do recognise are still around and seeming to be like the leftover guard, essentially the garrison. Let's say Fidelis is still here. He's acting commander. Guildmaster Shouther, the half-orc the cleric who let you into Seren's tomb, seems to be the guild founder who stayed behind. The wayfaring strangers are around, and you don't like them. Elzen, who you did some monk training with, Balthazar, is around, as is the very bitchy, sailor-mouthed gnome who taught you lockpicking, Rambear. Bill Corrin is around. Thrungi,
I
is
am
anything
comfortable to do nothing.
Thrungi, anything you want to do in this last afternoon you have at the guild?
Thrungi just spends most of the time practicing with his new chain.
Sure. What have you got it attached to?
His big axe.
Cool. Yeah, you are starting to get very comfortable with it now. There's a few kind of broken-in training dummies down in the sandpit area that the members down there have had to use some mending cantrips to kind of put back together.
One of the biggest things is he hasn't just been practicing throwing and pulling, he's also been practicing using it in melee, kind of getting the chain to wrap around him, his enemies, to get the axe to attack from different angles where it wouldn't usually be able to. He's still learning that bit, but he's
Okay.
practicing.
Yeah. Definitely some flavourful combat coming up. I'm looking forward to him, to you trying to bend it round corners like in Bullet Time. Balthazar, you have noticed during the day that the two or one. You only have one, I believe. Is that correct? Marks.
Two. Because Thrungi, Faendal got a third.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Those two are starting to ache a little bit. You've got one, if I remember correct, one on your shoulder. I'm trying to remember where you had them.
Yeah, I can't remember where
One
they
on the
went.
shoulder, and then let's just say one on the lower ribs on the right hand side. Yeah, both of them starting to ache. Like the muscle around it is starting to like pull a little bit. Just noticing that.
Okay.
Yes. You spend the rest of the evening gathering everything, making sure that varying people know where you're heading to get a hold of you if necessary. Next morning comes. Nyah, there is a package waiting for you bright and early in the morning. Your cloak of protection is returned with the party's stylized goat head symbol stitched into it perfectly neatly. And you guys meet up ready to depart.
I don't have anything else to do. Let's go.
Okay, we're ready.
Rambear?
You guys ready? 3,
Yes.
2, 1.
You're just Rambear. And suddenly,
Yeah, that's the noise I make to cast it.
and like you're just staring at them, like, and then you begin to feel your feet begin to just disappear from underneath you, and you look down, and just your legs are swirling into fog and cloud, and then it goes up your torso, and briefly afterwards, you are literal clouds just kind of hovering around the top of the citadel, admiring the sunrise.
I mean, we can't talk.
Nope.
Can we? So let's just go, I guess. Hope no one of us gets lost.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, how do we know which way to go? Am I aware while I'm a cloud?
You are aware.
Yeah.
You're still you. You are just not capable of speech, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just like enjoying the views.
Yeah.
And we're
Right.
basically just going straight north. So,
You're going straight north, are you?
I think, right?
East.
Isn't that what we just decided?
East way?
So,
If you go straight north, you're heading across the Ashen Waste.
Okay.
Are you planning that?
No.
We're gonna form like little, we're gonna form these questions in the air, like skywriting.
Fair
We
enough.
would have worked it out beforehand.
Yes, you would have.
So are we going like due east to the coast and then up? Is that?
You could head northeast and essentially skirt the Ashen Waste until you get to the Fell Channel.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Can you all make me survival checks, please?
Oh,
This is your
It's been a long
ability
time
to
since I've actually
navigate
used
by the
that.
sun, essentially.
Okay.
22.
22. Nyah?
18.
Ooh. Rambear?
16.
16. Thrungi?
10.
10. All high enough to handle this. Moving at full speed, you can see the Ashen Waste from here, and it is aptly named. It is essentially a giant desert of black, grey ash and dust that kind of picks up and roils into tornadoes and dust devils at various points. You think you spot some kind of shapes moving, but from this distance it's hard to be certain. It could just be dunes. And just the very presence of it is unsettling to all of you. Balthazar a little less so. There's a pull of familiarity to it almost. After 8 hours, passing through Forlond, where you also spot varying other smaller towns within Forlond, because you've only ever actually seen the capital city. You also spot some mines spotted here and there. You are within sight of the deeping fell channel, and you estimate you're nearing that 8-hour mark that I think this spell lasts for. I think it's 8 hours. It's up to you whether you want to try and cross the fell channel before the spell ends, or cast it this side, or drop down this side and then cross after.
What's the wording on the spell for if it ends while you're in midair?
You fall to the ground and die.
Yeah,
Is there not, like,
it's not great.
Is there not a slow fall bit until you touch down again or something? Am I just making that up?
There are spells that do that. I don't think this is one of them.
If a creature is in cloud form and flying when the effect ends, the creature descends 60 feet per round for 1 minute until it lands.
Which it does safely.
Oh, which it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I reckon we just push on until we are forced to land.
Push on.
If it can't land after 1 minute, the creature does fall the remaining distance, though. So it depends on how deep the channel is.
You want to be 600 feet in the air.
Actually, I want to be as high as possible. That'd be quite fun.
Well, that's the maximum you can be, without then taking full damage.
I was
We'll
going
probably
to say,
start to descend as we go. Like, as we get closer, we'll start descending.
Yeah.
So, to be clear, which side are you trying to set down on?
The opposite side.
The opposite
yeah,
side.
the far side.
Okay. Emma,
No.
your spell. Roll me a luck check. Just roll me a d20. You want higher than... You want 6 or higher?
Oh, 7.
It is... Literally, you get across the channel and you feel like yourself begin to corporealize again. And... You make it by maybe half a kilometer or so over the channel, but there's that point where you're just starting to like feel physical again, and you're still kind of just over the edge of this like deep like cliff side into a running channel of water that is dark and crashing against rocks. You're like, kind of risking this, but then do land safely on the other side, having travelled for 8 hours and cleared hundreds of miles. You are technically in Kisdemons, but in the southern reaches, which are less dwarven and more human settled. You still probably have another 4 to 6 hours of daylight left.
It probably makes sense to keep going for as long as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We go by Paul.
Cool. You keep travelling for a little bit. Can someone roll me a d10, please?
Not good.
I'll do it. 4.
4. Okay. Yeah. As you keep tracking, you head into a little bit of fine drizzle initially, but after about 15-20 minutes, it clears up into a kind of a warm but damp day of trekking up through pretty pleasant fields, all told. A stiff breeze kind of travelling across these kind of wide open plains. In the distance, Rambear, you can spot like small farming villages. here and there, but relatively uneventful. Eventually the sun begins to dip beyond the mountains to the west, and you look to make camp. You find a small copse of trees to pitch up in. What would you like to do?
We don't have any alarm spells or anything, do we? To pitch up with, but set up
I think
camp?
we have to set a watch.
Yeah, we'll
like
just
we
take
used to do. Ugh, I miss having a wizard.
I can
Did he
take
give us-
the first watch, but it's just like a late night.
Since there's 4 of you, do pairs for watches.
Yeah, you're gonna let us do that?
Yeah, do 2 watches.
We only
Really?
need 4. Watches.
No, just for the sake of ease.
Who wants to do the first one with me?
Good time for you to chat about what's coming up as well.
Sure, yeah. Actually, fuck knows what's coming up.
You guys have plenty to talk about if you actually want to. Each of you, or what roll perception checks, or one of you with advantage.
Who's got better perception?
I have +5, but I'm notoriously bad at perceiving. But I try.
You're on second watch with Thrungi anyway.
That's me or Nyah.
Do you want to do the perception?
Yeah, go for it.
And I'll help, because my eyes aren't great.
22.
22. You watch a small family of wild boar go past through the forest, kind of snuffling around the undergrowth, possibly drawn to the fire that is your camp, but keep a distance, and don't pose you much threat. Relatively uneventful watch for the 2 of you, if there's anything you kind of want to discuss or do or at all.
What do you think we're gonna find? Do you reckon they're gonna be nice, like welcoming to Thrungi, or do you reckon they're gonna be not welcoming?
I don't know if he knows any of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
he's
the
the
thing.
dwarf.
So I don't know how they're gonna feel about like one of the originals basically coming back.
I mean, as long as he doesn't try and assert his dominance or something, maybe they'll be okay with him just being there.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon either they'll see him as like a legendary figure and revere him, or they'll be massively suspicious.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about him being a legendary figure. Maybe
Well,
he's
do
like.
they know that he's alive? Do they know that someone survived?
I don't think they do. I think they must assume everyone died, right?
Yeah.
I don't really know much about how his place was left, like what state he left it in.
It's gonna be interesting.
We'll try and help him.
Yeah. Keep him going through it. Can't be easy.
No, especially if it's all burnt down and then he's upped to look at it rebuilt now.
Hmm. Well, he had a family as well. I wonder if there's a resting place for everyone who died, or a memorial or something. That might be nice.
We should find one if there isn't.
We shall see.
There's nothing else I can think of to like bring up. I've got like Balthazar is just following in footsteps at this point. He's just kind of lost. I don't know.
Hopefully it's like a quiet night and we're just like, poor Thrungi.
Yeah.
Without him hearing us, obviously, because he'd kill us.
His passive perception's not that great when he's asleep.
Yeah, I assume he's a heavy sleeper as well. I don't know why, I just do.
Reasonable assumption. I will say, Balthazar, that feeling of of not knowing where you're going, what you're doing, whether you have a path. Your mind plays on that for a little bit while Nyah's off collecting a bit more firewood. And just it creeps into your head, just like, maybe I do. I mean, those spheres need someone. There's still one out there. It's north. You're heading north.
I'm getting closer to it. I can't feel it, can I?
Nope.
That's like undiscovered yet.
That is correct. But you are confident that it is north. So, well, maybe you're not directing this group. You are going in the right direction.
I'm obviously not going to say anything about it. It's just like thoughts to myself.
Nah, Nyah, with your passive insight of 10, you've got no idea.
Yeah. I'm like, he's just chill. He's just,
He's just a monk. Just vibing.
he meditates sometimes, I guess.
But eventually your watch does come to an end, largely uneventful. You go and wake up the other two. Careful to not let Thrungi punch you for waking him up, or Rambear to roll on you with a large bulk. But the next two of you are awake. It has cleared up. There's a decent night sky overhead now, and you watch a flock of some sort of migratory or sea birds kind of go off overhead overnight. As you two begin your watch, can 2 perception rolls be made, either one with advantage or 2 separately?
I think our perception's the same.
I reckon close to. Do you want advantage?
Well, 10.
10. The wind picks up a little bit and begins kind of rustling through the trees. But that kind of dominates your hearing of the surrounding area for a while. The boar family, the other two mentioned, seems to have settled down somewhere in this copse of trees nearby. But other than that, uneventful for wildlife. You two are left alone with your thoughts and each other.
Do you have any feelings about returning north?
I think he's quiet for a while. I don't know.
You don't know. That's fair. It sounds like you lost a lot up there. You're military, right? Ex-military. That's why you and Hellman get on so well.
Probably.
Do you think there are any up there who might remember you?
No.
It's a shame. I'd like to know what you were like before.
Fortunately, that time has passed.
What could have been? I have a note, a voice-to-text note, which I made back in November 2021. But I don't know if it's worth bringing it up, because so long has passed. But I'm gonna. Thrungi, I don't know what went down between you and Nyah. It seems like you two have resolved whatever issues you had. But I just wanted to talk about how you've been treating us in the past. In particular, when you almost killed Faendal in the tower, when you saw him invent.
Him what? Sorry, you cut out.
Oh. You almost killed Faendal after you saw him invent fighting in the wizard's tower. In his tower, actually.
I didn't almost kill him.
Oh, a gentle breeze almost kills him. I think you did.
I hurt him, I'll agree, because he was hurting us. But I wasn't aiming to kill him.
You've been with us, we've been together for a long, long time. And I think we all know what possession looks like. I just want to know that if something like that happens, again, maybe to one of us, you'll use maybe non-lethal force. If it comes to it.
Depends. I can promise I'm never going to try and kill one of you of my own free will. Put you on the floor, yes, but...
That's your right. But, yeah, I think, even though you don't want to admit it, you've come to like us. And we've come to like you. I think we'd all like to get out of this alive. And together.
Speak for
Ideally
yourself.
with Ram. We would all like for you to get out of this alive. Because I'd like to learn how to grow a beard from you. I've never quite worked that out.
You're a bear!
I've got no beard. It's terrible.
I'm so confused.
Well, that's my piece. Thank you for protecting us for so long. Rambear's going to turn around and face the wind.
Eventually, your watch comes to an end with the rising dawn. It's a weirdly peaceful and beautiful dawn. You haven't experienced one like this in a while, of just being out in the wilderness on your own and watching it come up. Usually, Faendal lets you all sleep in a little bit, keeps the dawn to himself. But a new day dawns. You have, based on the map that you have with you, you estimate you can probably get pretty close to Karak Grungon with 8 hours of wind walk from here. You may have maybe an hour or two travel beyond that, but you'll be there by midday, you expect. Once again, Rambear makes a fart noise at you. And you all turn into cloud and mist and set off with the sunrise at your metaphorical backs. Can everyone make survival checks again, just to make sure you can navigate? The DC is much lower now because it's basically just flying the opposite direction that the sun is.
23.
23. Nyah?
9.
Rambear? Thrungi?
13.
13.
20? No, 22, sorry.
Fair enough. I thought that was a nat one when you did that, rather than give me a minute. No, more than enough. Nyah diverts a little bit, but Rambear kind of arcs around the cloud and brings her back into line with you all. The Darkness Mountains come into view relatively quickly for you, and you kind of then begin to use them as a secondary point to travel along. You make very good time and keep a fairly straight line that you land within sight of Karak Grungon, actually. You coast down onto the slightly kind of rocky terrain rather than the rolling hills previously. In front of you stands a city of stone. Thick, tall walls encircle a city at the base of the mountain. Rambear, you can spot from this far out, there seems to be small queues of wagons waiting at the gates, and plumes of dark smoke do rise from the city in various places. The ruined city that Thrungi had known now appears to be lived in and somewhat thriving.
I guess
How
we
far
just
from it
head
are
up.
we?
Yeah.
You estimate maybe an hour on foot.
Do we want to head there and meet with them near Marble Brow?
Yeah. I guess
Yeah,
pick the nearest
Thrungi?
gate.
You be good with that?
Thrungi just nods.
Thrungi have his tankard out. No, he's okay. See what it's
He
over.
hasn't drunk anything since we left.
Never
Is
a
it because
good
of
sign.
Faendal? Is that why you were drinking?
Putting up with the elf.
Bad influence. Alright, I guess I guess we'll go on up.
Upon getting closer, you realise the city is actually larger than what you'd seen previously. Balthazar and well, most of you actually mentioned it, and Thrungi, you would have known this anyway. You can see switchback pathways leading actually up the mountains towards entrances that are carved into the mountains. You have experienced before that a lot of dwarven cities actually are carved into the mountains and don't sit outside. But it seems like a portion of the city is outside and a portion is inside. But I think we will take a break there. Grab a bite to eat, and jump back in as you approach the gates of Karak Grungon to investigate what has happened since. See you guys in a bit. Cool. Right. Welcome back. So we pick back up as you are approaching the gates of Carrick Grungon. You can spot at the gates there is a small group of dwarven guards dressed in polished scale mail, shields of black and brass with the kind of dwarven rune signifier on the front, and each of them holding a long kind of hafted axe, kind of close to a halberd but not quite. And you join the queue behind the small, like maybe half a dozen merchant caravans being pulled by oxen. Anyone proficient in perception can roll a perception check.
Not me.
23.
23. Yeah, you pick up on the wind conversations being had between the merchants and the dwarven guards. Kind of just bits on the wind, not the full conversation. You're kind of checking like reasons for visit, who is their contact within the city that they're heading towards to get rid of these goods. You also hear kind of for lack of a better term, the laws of the city, because the people up front appear to be human, from what you can tell. They make it abundantly clear that they are only permitted to the outer city. Entrance to the inner city is not granted to them, and if they are found within the inner city, they will be punished by the full extent of the dwarven law. These merchants obviously understand, echo that they have no interest in heading into the inner city. They just simply want to sell their wares, meet their buyer, and set up the caravan back the other way to Adhelm. But it does appear that it's not just a walk up and walk in kind of city. The caravans move on through, and you are next up, and one of the dwarves kind of raises his shield at you. He's like, "Halt there! What can I be doing with you fine for today?" Important question, Thrungi. How brazenly dressed are you, as it were? Are you full regalia, as in your standard attire, or are you clothed in any way, or robed, etc.?
Standard attire.
Standard attire. Okay. Carry on.
Is it morning or afternoon? Sorry.
Middle of the day. So you estimate just past noon, having trekked a little bit.
Afternoon. We have come to request entry to the city.
Aye. Balthazar, you sense there's an air of unease by these guards in talking to Thrungi directly. Good afternoon. What be your business in this fair city, Master Dwarf?
Come to see what it's like now. See what changes are afoot. And see whether we may request permission to have a reforging of a dark weapon for something good.
Roll me a persuasion check.
Persuasion. Oh, that's not good. 13.
Your business be strange ones. We're simply a merchant city. But your beard rings are significant, I must say.
Aye, that they are.
You from this city then?
I was.
You were. The city has only been settled for a year.
I know.
When were you last here, if you don't mind me asking?
Out of character, how long ago was it? Because I don't think we've ever really said.
It would have been at least... I think 3 years? I think it's been 3.
Should we just
I've
go with
probably
3?
said previously, exactly, but I'm not thinking out my notes. We'll go with 3.
3. Anyway, right, back into character. Last I was here must have been 3 years ago.
A wave of connecting the dots goes over his face a little bit.
While Thrungi's been saying this, he's actually taken out the beard ring and passed it and literally thrown it in a gentle way.
Kind of tossed it.
Yeah, for them to catch and go. I think you'll understand exactly what that ring means.
Aye.
Because on the inside you'll have the maker's mark as well.
Yep. I'll be truthful. I do not know this smith, but
You won't.
you are.
know, even.
Who am I to withhold you from your own city, good sir? May I just ask a few questions before? Your companions, are they trusted followers of yours?
They're trusted friends, yes.
Aye, and I trust them to follow the laws of this city as any others would.
Put it this way, if they don't, they'll be messing with me.
Aye, no one wants to be messing with you. I wouldn't go mentioning dark cursed swords around and around the city if I were you. There may be a few more particular individuals that I would contact first. Do you have a contact within the city you're familiar with?
Considering the state of the city when I was last here, no. I believe you'll understand exactly what I mean by that.
Rambear's going to sneak forward and whisper, what about under? Fidelis' contact.
I'd forgotten Thrungi was there for that.
You would have shared the information anyway, even whether you were there or not.
I have a name of a possible contact, but that is all. I've never met them.
How do you know them, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm currently a member of the guild.
Interesting. I wouldn't have pegged one of your history to have joined such a faction. But who am I to judge?
The name of our contact is Umnir Marblebrow.
I know him. You might want to head over to the Stone Apple then. That's where he's holed up. Easy enough to find tavern by the market square. He motions for the rest of you to kind of head in, and just grabs you by the forearm a second through before like reflexively kind of letting go. If I might be so bold, you might want to head by the Scald's Hearth. Hold Scald. Stonefall would appreciate talking to you.
Thrungi nods and takes back the ring and puts it back in his beard.
Yeah, he hands it back to you.
As he heads off, just confirms.
Yep.
Are the old rules still in place? My companions are only allowed in the outside.
The inner city is off limits to non-dwarves, except in special permissions from the Thane.
Of course.
Good day to you, Dwarf. And you head into the city. Entering into the city, it is 90% made of stone. You assume from the mountainside that it is built around. It is fairly simplistic. As entering in, there's a large kind of, for lack of a term, foyer area where carts have pulled up and seem to be unloaded into warehouses and the like. Pathways leading into the city. It doesn't seem very busy. Here and there you can still spot the odd building that is yet to be fully reconstructed, but it seems like for the most part the city is back operational and repaired.
I think we all head off to the tavern that they mentioned.
Sure.
What was that about? The Skull's Hearth? Who do you need to speak with there?
I suspect they want the story.
We could do that. I'm in the mood for a story.
Am I correct in thinking that the Skull's Hearth will be in the inner city?
The previous Skull's Hearth, when you were here last, was not. It was viewed as a communal space where non-dwarves could learn about dwarven history, and dwarves who were so inclined could learn about other races as well. It was much more of a meeting place to swap stories than a particularly sacred site or anything.
We do the thing we need. We make our contact first, and we'll see what happens.
Does the city look alright to you? As in, have they done a good job reconstructing, or is it very different now?
How does it look compared? Or can I make it up as well?
Feel free.
I think he takes his time to look around, with the majority of it being dwarven stone construction. It's an annoying thing to knock down in the first place, even if roofs, doors, windows and stuff like that would have been destroyed. As you look towards the inner city, it looks completely broken. As Thrungi looks around and answers, he kind of goes, looks the same, yet different. Walls build to endure time.
It's beautiful. Right, which way is the tavern? Maybe just like wandering around till we find it? Or...
Thrungi, you would know where the market square was, and you doubt that the layout of the city has changed to such an extent that it is no longer there.
Yeah, so he would head there, because even if things have moved around, it's a giant open square where you'll be able to find stuff.
Yeah. Had a dog I didn't trust. Yeah, so you head to the market square. A large plaza of light grey stone with carved rivulets in it to channel rainwater off the main section. In the main square, you take a brief look around, and there is a tavern. There's a few taverns, to be honest. But obviously, you have been looking for the Stone Apple, and there is a tavern with a 3-foot-high stone carving of an apple directly outside it.
Is everything in this town just sort of some amalgamation of stone and what it's supposed to be? Like, pub is a stone apple. I've lost her words for other shops, but...
Lost the word for other shops. No, it just happens to be called the Stone Apple.
I reckon there might be a theme of rocks in this, though. We're meeting...
ACDC's round the corner.
we're meeting somebody called Marble Brow.
Dwarves are dwarves. What do you want?
Matt and dwarves. Yeah, let's go in. Bebs.
You head in, and it's time of the day is kind of lunchtime, so the tavern is decently busy. You spot a couple of dwarves wearing the same kind of garb as the ones out that met you at the gate. Apparently, kind of guards on their break. A few other tables full here and there, mostly of dwarves. You spot the odd human or gnome around. Behind the bar is a dwarf of relatively youthful age. Maybe the same length beard as Thrungi now, which kind of showcases that he is considerably younger. Kind of sandy, blondie brown colour and light blue eyes. Just kind of polishing a tankard behind the bar. Hasn't noticed you enter.
Excuse me. Thrungi slowly walks up to the counter.
You're like distracted, like noticing someone kind of wave a hand up for a beer order, and he just turns around, takes a step back. Well, hi there. Welcome to the Stone Apple. Can I help you?
Aye. 4 meals, and can you show us where... Christ, I've forgotten his name already. Jesus Christ. Where Marble Brow is sitting.
Marble Brow. Yeah, certainly. Just, give me a second. He kind of, like, nervously, like, grabs a tankard from behind him, fills it up, and slides it down the bar to where another patron picks it up and starts drinking, leaving a couple of coins on the bar. Certainly. The name's Garrick, by the way. Welcome to my tavern. You planning on staying? Can I interest you in rooms at all? Or do you just want to talk to Marble Brow?
For now, but we may have rooms later.
Sure. He kind of catches the eye of a dwarf, thick, kind of curly black hair, pretty bulbous nose, and not rings in his beard, but kind of chains that wrap through it. He kind of looks over and just like gives a nod. That's Umnir over there. Do you mind if I ask why you're asking for him, or just no? Never mind. And he quickly retreats from you, Thrungi, back behind the bar, and starts organising the meals you requested.
Thrungi puts 4 gold on the counter.
Thank you.
And then points towards where Marble Brow sits in.
Nice. So, what are we?
Let's go.
Does Nyah walk up to him?
We just walk up and sit down.
We have like we have our emblem, but do we have any proof that we're with the guild?
That's literally what the emblems are for.
Yes, that is the proof.
Yeah. Well, no, but I mean, we made them. It's our little goat.
No, you have genuine guild symbols.
Official guild.
Oh, okay.
That's how you recognised Sedana as a guild member. She had a similar totem on her belt.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah. We should probably flash those at him so he knows we know Fidelis.
You asking this guy anyway?
Lay of the land. Whatever Thrungi is not telling us.
Okay.
I mean, do we need help getting access to a forge?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in the center of in the inner city or not.
I'm gonna assume so. Big special forges.
Aye. And with that, Thrungi makes his way over.
Hi there. I was mentioned some
Afternoon.
guild members might be turning up. Take a seat.
Oh, yeah.
Chains kind of faintly rattle as he talks, as his jaw moves.
Thrungi takes a seat opposite.
My, you are an odd fucking bunch, aren't you?
Thank you.
You got an oath-sworn dwarf. You got a shining gold human. A shining gold dragon. And apparently a walking bear.
I talk too.
Jesus fucking Christ, of course you do. I swear, the guild gets weirder every day.
Yeah, well, weird deals with weird.
Hadn't thought about it that way. Anyway, what do you want? Usually I have a kind of inkling as to why people are heading here and put in contact, but, you know, you just turned up.
We would like, if possible, to have a conversation with one of the master smiths.
You serious? Yeah. What kind of pull do you think I have here?
I didn't necessarily say that you would be the one to do it, but you can point us on the right track.
Well, I can try, but, I mean... Look, I mean this with all due respect. Sorry, what's your name?
Thrungi.
Thrungi.
Thrungi Gornison. And that is the first time you've ever heard his family name.
You have a second name? I thought you were just like Rambear. Thrungi.
I thought Rambear was a double-barreled surname and you didn't have a first name.
Njornison, Njorn was his father's name.
Listen, you know, his voice kind of quiets down a bit. Like, you understand that to those here, you all are outsiders. Even you. Even with those beard bands, kind of showing that you're from here. That oath you took,
I'm fully aware.
it's gonna take some convincing.
I know.
I'm not even sure they're gonna let you in the inner city as it stands. You're essentially a walking man with no honor. That is how you present yourself. And the Thane, he stands by honor. Let's put it that way. So we're gonna have to figure something out. What do you know? What do you need?
Thrungi looks at Nyah and kind of makes a hand motion.
I bring out the sword and just kind of like prop it on the table.
It's a mighty fine sword. Bit delicate for my tastes, but works in the hands of others, I assume.
It once held a demon.
I'm glad you put that in the past tense.
Thrungi says quietly, so that he doesn't kind of spook the rest of them.
Of course.
However, if memory serves, the demon will eventually come back, possessing both the sword and very possibly anyone who wields it.
I'm going to assume this thing is cursed, and one of you is by extension too.
You would be correct.
Interesting. How much do you know about Faendal forges?
And Thrungi will say everything he knows.
What do you know?
That I remember off the top of my head. Oh, what did we discuss? I'm gonna try and find it now. Hold on.
While he's looking that up, Rambear and Balthazar, because you're not directly involved in this conversation right now, roll me perception checks. Rambear, if you want, you can run on your passive.
Yeah.
Balthazar?
6.
You are kind of engrossed in this conversation a little bit and not really paying attention to the ambient noise. Rambear?
19.
19. Close enough to your passive. Rambear, you pick up from a couple of guards. It's like over here, one of them was just. Remember that tiefling from yesterday? The weird one, wasn't he? Do we know what happened to him? Ah, yeah, he hired a couple of mercenaries from a merchant caravan and headed off westward into the steppes. No idea what he was looking for, but wonder if he survived. Steppes ain't a friendly place. Nah, I wouldn't bet the mercenaries didn't kill him. Just a bard looking for a story, you know? Eh. Oh well. Anyway, finish up your pint. We gotta get back on shift.
Rambear turns. Rambear turns.
Okay.
Thrungi at this point replies, I only know so much. I was a captain of the outer guard. There was only so much I needed to know. I know of the weapons that it can craft, the armor. I know it is one of the few forges that can make some of the weapons that the dwarves are renowned for. I also know that it is, well, was, when I was here, one of the most heavily guarded places of this place.
I'll agree. Most of that is pretty damn accurate. Well, I assume you're truthful in saying you're a member of the Outer Guard. So you were here when the city fell? Sternfall's going to want to talk to you.
He was the one who was already mentioned, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes. It's been mentioned.
Might be a point to stop at least. No. Faendal forges are tricky beasts to find anything on. Dwarves, we like to keep those things secret. The Rune Priest Silverfist is probably going to know more and provide you a little more insight. Look, from my understanding, there's no way in hell they're going to help you right now. The Thane is pretty protective of this city. Pretty suspicious of outsiders. And even though you are a dwarf, sir, you are an outsider. And you're going to have to find some redeeming fucking challenge to bring you to the Thane's attention. Sure. What can you think of?
Not much I'm good for other than killing things nowadays.
Well, I might have something of interest to you, but I think the story's going to come better from the Scald. After all, it is kind of his job. So, how about we head over to the Scald's Hearth? Have a conversation. You can tell him your life story. And we can figure something out that'll get the Thane's attention. What about the rest of you? Anything noteworthy of interest while you're here? Or are you just following in the dwarf?
Rambear's completely ignoring what's happening over here and is
Rambear.
engrossed in the guard's conversation.
As you turn around, the guard downs his pipe, puts it down. They throw a couple of silver onto the table, get up and begin to head out, picking up their shield and weapons on the way out.
You know, step right between them as they're trying to leave. Excuse me.
Ugh. Jesus Christ, there's a bear in here! And then talk. How much did I drink?
But I do this even when you're not drunk. I'm really sorry. I was listening to your conversation. The tiefling you were talking about, was he particularly rude to old people?
God. Roll me a persuasion check.
I'm a bear, I should get advantage.
You're a bear. You're lucky I'm not giving you disadvantage right now.
All should fear the bear who rolled a 7 on their persuasion check.
Why are you asking about a tiefling?
It's just... Well, a friend of ours left without really saying goodbye, and I thought maybe it could be them.
Look, dude, there's a lot of tieflings in the world. God knows if it was the same one. Didn't really have that long of a conversation with him.
Is there anything distinctive about them?
I mean, had a pretty nice looking coat, kind of red and gold. Fancy looking hat. Clearly not used to the cold temperatures up here in the north. About it.
Was it a nice woolen hat?
Kinda. Yeah.
And when he spoke, did you feel like everything was going to be okay?
I mean, he had a way with words, sure.
I have my... Yeah, and you said he went off with mercenaries.
Yeah. He hired a couple. Why? You're
I was
hunting down this guy?
No, just wanted to see if he was okay. It's okay, don't worry. I
mean, you're welcome.
Do you
Head
know
into the
what-
steps if you want to try and find him. Good luck.
the steps. Okay. Thank you very much, mister.
Sure. And I head out.
And
Just kind of-
Rambear is going to tell that Thrungi's not here anymore, apparently. Guys! I think Vent's here.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I hope...
Whoa. Are you sure it's Vent, Rambear? Did they say that, that the head was on fire?
No, they didn't. That was a weird thing to admit, because his head was definitely on fire last time we saw him. Did we hear him ordering his cap, or was that like done in secret?
You knew he had it because it
You
came
got it when
with.
we went to the werewolf?
It came with it was with Nyah. It was at the Dapper Werewolf.
Okay. No, but he was wearing a distinctive hat. And Vent has a hat. And he was a tiefling. And Vent's a tiefling.
I was gonna say you have a hat. None of us have a hat.
Why would Vent
Yeah.
be here?
I don't know. And I don't know how he got here, because it took us a really long time to get here. Well, we came really quickly. But it would be
Alright,
very
come back.
impressive if we managed to get here. I don't know
Well-
why, but apparently whoever this tiefling is, they could be in trouble. They went to the steps.
I'd say unless we're going that way anyway, it's probably not Vent.
Okay.
Oh, we'll keep an eye open, Rambear, in case we see.
Thanks, guys. I miss that guy. He made a great dolphin. So what happened over here? I was completely zoned out.
We're going to visit the Scald.
Oh, that's cool. Story time.
Yeah, it's story time. This way. And he begins to lead you out of the tavern, just as your meals are ready.
We take them to go, right?
Did you want these or
It's lunch sandwiches, right? So Thrungi just picks his up and takes it with him.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take it on the go.
It's more like hard bread with like elements of cheeses and meats kind of laid on top. So what you can essentially do is like roll it up into a tube or fold it in half.
Wait, do we invent the sandwich?
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Cool.
And take it with you. That's He gets out a notepad and just writes something down.
And we just invented Subway.
Keep fresh.
Yes. Umnir leads you through the city. Rambear, make me a perception check.
So 24.
24. You are keeping an eye out for a ashen-skinned tiefling, but walking through the crowd, you don't spot them anywhere. But then again, you were told he went out into the steppes. So, eventually, you come to another kind of open space in the city, close to the mountainside, kind of sitting underneath one of the main entrances up the mountain. The thing you notice from a distance is there is a large burning fire at the centre of it. Even here in the middle of the day, it seems to have been going for a very long time, and possibly not going to go out for a very long time either. Seems to kind of be slightly like a banked in section, like a kind of like a very large fire pit, but with a fire pit in the middle, almost. Dotted around are a couple of groups here and there having conversations, and tending to the large fire in the middle is a male dwarf, slightly hunched over, showing a little bit of age, a black beard, kind of greying at the tips, in a very long, kind of down to his ankles in length, with extensive kind of beard knotwork laid into it. Kind of throwing things onto the fire here and there. And somebody goes, "That's who you want to talk to. Hold Skull, Breaken Stonefall." Rather cheerful for a dwarf, if I say so myself, but, you know, does his job well enough. Well liked. I'll introduce you. Breaking! The old dwarf kind of like gets up from poking the fire, looks up and goes, "I'm there!" And, like, waves you down. And you walk down in the centre, and it is warm down here. Balthazar, you're fine. But it's warm. Like, the fire has given off quite a lot of heat, and you begin to understand why people were sitting a fair way back onto these kind of banked steps. Breaking. I want to introduce you to members of the guild. They've got a couple of questions about the city, the history, and this one has quite an interesting story, I presume. Master Dwarf, may I know your name to better converse with you?
Thrungi Nornison.
Thrungi. Well, welcome to the Scald's Hearth. Place for swapping and sharing of stories and knowledge. You four looked like you could do with some information, or just a fine rest. So, come, let's talk. What do you wish to know? And he begins to lead you over to one of the steps. Still not far from the heat at this point. He seems to be quite comfortable around a warm fire.
We wish to know what we may do, so we can have a meeting with the Thane. Or at least the Rune Master.
Just to be clear, when you reference Rune Master, do you mean head smith rather than head priest?
Yeah.
It's fine. I just wanted to check that I was on the same page as you. That's a lofty goal for visitors. Might I know why?
We have an item in our possession that is slightly dangerous in its current state. I believe the Rune Master may be able to help us.
Define dangerous for me.
It is a weapon that, in the past, has had a demon sealed inside it. Currently, we have banished the demon back to its home plane, but in time, it will come back.
This is a very interesting story that I would like the full details of, if I may ask. Which of you came to be in possession of the sword in the first place?
I'll kind of like half draw my sword and nod, as in like, you know.
It's definitely not of dwarven make.
You think any dwarf would agree to seal a demon in a sword?
I mean, stories tell of dwarves falling to predations of the demons and devil kind plenty. We are a stubborn race, but we are not infallible to the predations of those who are evil.
I agree, but if we but we would not seal a demon in a sword. We would more than likely banish them.
I know plenty of stories that would disagree with you, sir. Speaking of stories, you all seem to have many, and this sword I wish to know further on. You stumbled upon it by fortune or by fair causes? By fate. An interesting designation. You think fate draws you to evil things?
I would hope not.
And did you claim you were drawn to this sword by fate?
The sword reached out to me.
Was that fate?
In a way.
Or the designs of a demon?
Well, I thought it was fate at the time being. The demon tricked me and pretended to be the goddess that I'm sworn to.
Such is the enjoyment that devils get from corrupting the purer. Very well. I mean, it is certainly a noble quest that you seek to reclaim a artifact of rather fascinating design and make for, I would hope, a better purpose.
Yes.
Well, that might get you a conversation with the Rune Master, but don't think it'll gain you much more than that. Speaking of stories, before I go much further, Thrungi, fine fellow. I am a master of stories and the histories of the dwarves. And yet there are two things yet unaccounted for in my stories and tales. The first, until today, I have never met an oath sworn. And here one stands before me, as proud as can be in their honourless state. May I ask, what caused you to commit to such a final oath?
What do you know of the history of this great city?
A curious follow-up, because that was to be mine. My goal here is to piece together the history of this city in the time of its falling to its time of its reclamation now. I know a fair deal about this city, if I'm honest. I know it used to be a great merchant city in the past and formed incredible alliances with those beyond the steppes, which are being reforged now. I also know it sits upon one of the infamous and fabled Faendal forges, deep beneath the mountain. This is why its loss years ago was insufferable to dwarven kind, and why its reclaiming is one of particular satisfaction.
And yet, you don't know why it was lost.
Sadly, no. All those who are here are gone beyond the abilities to retell their stories. And he, at that point, motions. And just up on the actual mountain, carved into it, is a flattened slab. In it, carved are dwarven runes from wall to wall, bottom to top. I believe only Thrungi speaks Dwarvish here.
Uh-huh.
It is names. Hundreds and hundreds of names.
Thrungi once again takes off the ring, his biggest, most prominent ring in his beard. Takes it off his beard, and again does an underhanded throw towards the Skald.
Seems today is one of fortune for myself. I can kill 2 troublesome birds with a single stone. If it is not beyond the realms of politeness, may I ask you to retell the story of the fall of Cleric and your role within it?
And Thrungi once again tells the same tale he told the library.
In what language?
Dwarvish.
Breakin just sits there silently letting you tell the story.
He tells him of the orc chieftain with the flaming hands, of how at his call for reinforcements and call of a warning to the hold was left unanswered by the inner guard, but he knows not why. And he tells them of the end result, him waking up the last dwarf of the hold as far as he's aware, not far from where he entered the gates.
He starts talking to you in Dwarvish. You have not told your companions your full story, I presume.
The shame is mine to bear. Now you understand.
I do. But I would share unto you some knowledge gained upon the reclaiming of this city.
Thrungi replies in common. Share your Skald. Share your stories.
When this city was reclaimed from the orc scourge that held possessing, the tribe, referred to as the Evermore tribe, were routed from the outer city, and they fled what remained of them into the steppes, where they were left to die among the wilds. We presume they perished, but our forces on that day were not enough to follow them into such a dangerous place. Instead, we reclaimed the city, made it dwarven once again, burnt down the orc effigies and ramshackle buildings, and began to rebuild great stone architecture of the dwarves again. Yet the inner city remained unopened, sealed from the orcs themselves. They had not entered the dwarven city within the mountain. Excavation efforts and using secret doors of escape left within the mountain. The reason you and your soldiers were left to fight the orc horde alone became apparent. Inside, the dwarven city lay covered in ash, broken rubble scattered across the inner city, bodies of dwarves tossed and broken at impossible angles. Some burnt by horrible burns, unlike those of fire, more like that of boiled water upon them. Eventually the inner city was reclaimed and rebuilt enough, and the scourge that assaulted the inner city became apparent to be those of the elemental plane. How they arrived is yet unknown. However, the Rune Master has his beliefs, considering that the Faendal Forge remains out of the city's grasp still. Buried behind tunnels of rock, all exploration teams have failed to return. It is believed the elementals still exist beneath the halls of Cleric and lay claim to the Faendal Forge beneath.
Thrungi just grips his axe tighter.
Master Dwarf, you bear shame upon you that is not yours to bear. But an oath to a dwarf stands the test of time, whether they believe it or not. So, perhaps a conversation with the Rune Priest, Tasnir Silverfist, might enlighten you to your options with such an oath.
Aye.
As for the Orc War Chief, I have reason to believe that the one known as Prutha Ragefire still draws breath within the steppes.
You hear an audible creak from the haft of the axe in his hands.
I have no proof of this. But an individual came through the city not 2-3 days ago now, asking about that war chief. And I do find it suspicious that they did. One does not ask about a dead orc, no good to the world, months after they have been routed and left to die, if they are indeed dead. If you are looking for a way to prove yourselves to the Thane, claiming the final blow for the honour of Caragringon would certainly send a message.
Who was this individual?
I do not know. I didn't meet them myself. But, you know, words pass around, stories are shared here in the Hearth. A tiefling of some kind. A charming individual.
Was his hair on fire?
I do not know. Comments of his attire more pertain to his rather overly flamboyant red and gold coat. Roll. Any of you can roll history.
No.
Yeah, no, I got a 7.
I got a 6.
Balthazar?
I got 7.
7. Sounds familiar, but you don't know where from. You've met a lot of flamboyant people over your time.
What colour
Nyah's one of them,
clothes
to be
did
honest.
Vent have?
Good
I
question.
can't even remember how he was dressed.
If you'd rolled a high
I
history
think
check,
you
you would
don't
know.
remember.
You don't remember. You say the main attraction to him was the flaming hair and skull.
So, if I'm understanding, you think going to kill this orc would get us an audience?
I am loath to guarantee anything with the thing. The man is stubborn and overly protective of this city and fearful of outsiders, but I can't think of much more that would garner his attention.
I don't give a fuck if they'll give us an audience or not. We can point us in which direction.
I have no direction for you other than the steps themselves. They were routed. We have not followed since. You might find some rangers dotted about, or might be worth asking the merchant caravans. Or, I don't know. Some of you seem magically inclined. There might be possible ways to do such a thing. Beyond my skill, nonetheless, I am but a humble storyteller.
Is there anything else you wish to know?
There is plenty, but I feel I'll see you all again. Plenty of stories here to tell and to learn. I think for you, though, Thrungi, it would be best to speak to Rune Priest Silverfist before you depart. And she may have knowledge for the rest of you beforehand as well. But you are whims unto yourselves and go about your own business.
When we'll be able to have an audience with you.
I imagine so. She is a reasonable reasonable dwarf. Provided you're not expecting too much of her.
I expect nothing but a chance to talk.
Very well. He motions over. A younger looking dwarf, clearly kind of adolescent age, goes, "Get a message to Tasnir, would you please? Tell her I have a member from history here who wishes to talk to her." Dwarf kid kind of, who's only got like the patchwork coming in of a beard at this point, kind of looks at him, just okay, and then just goes running off. And you see him very quickly kind of halfway up the mountainside towards the main entrance up to the inner city.
So what you're telling me is he has a better beard than you?
Yeah. Obviously, that's not hard. Emma has a better beard than me. I imagine that's going to possibly take a short while. So, what other stories do you have for me?
Well, we vanquished the demon from my sword.
Yes, let's discuss this sword further. You came here with the ambition to destroy? To amend? To... What is your goal with this sword? It seems to have a grand story.
Hopefully to fix it up and perhaps insert something else so that it is no longer empty for the return of the demon.
Interesting. I'm not aware of such a thing being done. It is a bold strategy. Many more short-minded folks would just prefer to destroy and be gone of such a heinous artifact. But you see redemption in it?
Redemption
Rambear.
and the potential for power.
Rambear, you notice a flick of Braken's eyes towards Thrungi at the mention of redemption.
Can I do anything about that?
In the interests of the full story, what led you to a path of realizing the demon within must be dealt with? You've explained that you came across the sword through fateful means, but it seems to be a journey from there to the point of where you are now.
Well, the demon lured me to the weapon through lies and corruption, and from then on kept whispering in my mind, leading me down a path that was less than ideal. I almost killed my friends, to put it shortly.
Definitely not an ideal result for such an artifact.
Well, almost being the key word there.
And you found a way to remove a bound creature from an item. And now you seek to find a way to bind another?
Yes. That's right.
He kind of looks around at the four of you, goes, I assume you don't look to bind one of yourselves to this weapon. While it would probably grant you a form of immortality, I don't think it would be an enjoyable one.
No, truth be told, we have not considered what to bind to the sword yet.
Roll me a perception check.
Oh, that's impressive for me. That's a 19.
19. You feel a warm glow at your breastbone from something that's hanging around your neck.
Okay. Yeah, we haven't considered it yet.
Well, you might wish to resolve that before you go about requesting things of the Fane and revered sites for dwarven culture. We are a stubborn race, and as amenable as we are to humankind, you will be asking a great deal.
Oh, I am quite familiar with the stubbornness of dwarves. Thrungi has done a great job at showing us what that is like.
I'm glad he's giving you a fair representation of our race.
But he has also told us of how dwarves are the only ones that would be able to accomplish such a feat. So we are putting our full trust in that.
That is a story I think is best told by the Rune Priest. Now, you two fine, tall folks. Shining scale and black fur. What stories do you have for an old skald that might be interesting to us dwarves?
I can't think of anything specific to me that's interesting to dwarves. So I might tell him the story of the library just to pass the time.
Which library, to be clear? You've been to quite a few.
Library of Eritrea.
Library of Eritrea. A fascinating story. One that contains everything one might look for in a work of fiction, if I dabbled in such things. Yet for a party such as yourselves who come across demon swords and survive sackings of entire cities, doesn't seem too farcical. Where is this elf you mentioned? This Faendal as part of your story?
He remained at the guild to... I assume I'd tell him about his returning his memories. And like 100 years of memories flooding back is a lot. And so he's recovering.
A horrible fate to lose one's memories. History is what defines us and pushes us onto new paths. To be left without that can leave one feeling lost. That's why people like me exist. Us old lot keep a hold of the histories and the stories of the past to help guide you younger folks onwards.
What did the dwarves of the cataclysm?
A dark time in history. Ancient history, I suppose, is a better term. Kizdumans fought in the final battles, alongside those of Yarqui and others. the guild founder, one of them, was a proud former citizen of Gisdemans. We stand by that record. Why'd you ask about such infamous times?
We have been reading about it a lot recently.
An odd read, if I do say so myself, but for those interested in their own history as guild members, I suppose not too uncommon. Now, come, there. I have not seen one of your ilk before, and I look forward to retelling the story of the day I met a bear with the brain of anyone equal to them. What stories do you have for me that I might regale others of your adventures?
Is
I know where this is
Umnir
going.
anywhere nearby?
A mirror.
You don't. Umnir.
Umnir. Yeah, Umnir's hung around. He does look a little bored.
Yeah, right. Fuck you, Umnir. Umnir was kind of shitty to Thrungi earlier, not feeling that vibe. He said that he doesn't hold himself with honour, and so Rambear is going to go completely off-piste. We're not talking about Ram for once. We're going to tell the story of how Thrungi jumped into the open beak of a kraken. Telling the story of how we sailed across to the Curon Isle.
The legends of the Kraken are real.
This guy, and Rambo's gonna get a smack Thrungi on the back, and he's gonna look at him and be like, "Oh, nope." This guy basically killed it.
You killed a Kraken.
No, it ran away, but it was scared.
Scared of the dwarf here. Well, that certainly lives up to the legends of oaths sworn in the past. Perhaps they aren't just tales of tall fiction, and the madness of deathless dwarves is indeed famed. The sun has begun to set at this point. You have been talking for an awful long time. The fire is still raging warm, stocked up by varying people. When a female dwarf comes towards you, copper brown hair and beard, not as long as male beards, but a decent length. In it, a number of small trinkets of like anvils and hammers, scythes as well, kind of all manner of things. Walks up to you. Hold Scald Bracken. You called for me? What purpose do you have for me? At this point, her eyes actually flick to the dwarf, bedecked in orange. Well, in orange hair and beard, anyway. Ah, that makes some sense. I am a busy woman. The Hall of Ancestors requires maintenance. Did you have anything specific that you needed me for? Bracken turns up. These fine folks have been asking some interesting questions about dwarven history and our culture, shall we say. And I thought best to hear it from the one who knows it best. Very well. Well, I do not have all day. What specific topics may I help you outsiders with?
trying to think of the best way to word it. I'm aware of the forge. And not exactly what it can do, but some of the results of those who have shaped and crafted in its halls. We have a blade that would be of interest to a master smith. Something that would test even their skills.
You have a blade you wish crafted by a master dwarven smith.
Recrafted. Thrungi looks at Nyah and kind of says, "May I?"
I will pass the sword to Thrungi.
Roll me a wisdom saving throw now.
Okay. 19.
19. There's a moment of hesitation where you don't want to let go of it, and you purposely kind of just stay close to Thrungi while he's in possession of it, but you are capable of handing it over to him.
Thrungi holds it by the blade and offers it hilt first.
Now, this is certainly a beautiful weapon. I am not a smith myself, so I cannot help you in that regard.
Currently, this is the empty housing of a prison for a demon.
Most sane people would wish this destroyed. But I can tell by your appearance that you are not necessarily fully sane.
Aye, but perhaps you would be in the same place if you had my story.
She hands the sword back to you, Nyah. Let us take a moment and discuss that. What do you know about the oath you swore?
Am I starting to make up fluff here?
You can make up some. I'll be adding bits to it as well.
I took the oath after the destruction of my home. The one you currently stand in. The last dwarf to draw its breath of the original clan that lived here.
You bind your oath as the last of the first clan of Carrick-Grungon, and yet a clan of the same name now stands. To some members of the Dwarven ancestry, that would provide some sort of redemption. You are no longer the last dwarf of Carrick-Grungon. Instead, a thriving city stands.
But I'm still the last of my people. And that oath still stands. Don't get me wrong. I feel joy at seeing this ancient hold once again have life. But I know this is no longer my home.
It is a painful path you walk down. And I know the stories focus on the glorious ends of the oath sworn in legends past. But that is because storytellers like the dramatic. Tales of quiet redemption for self-forgiveness often fall on deaf ears more. I just wish for you to know that the oath you bound yourself to is not a death wish should you choose it to be. You are capable of cleansing that stain you feel from you. The path you take to that cleansing is yours and yours alone. There is no recorded text on how to accomplish it. But I would say reclaiming the honour of even a fallen city from those who defiled it might just pave the first step on that path if you wish to take it.
I'm afraid it will have to be the second step. The first is bringing back the head of that fucking orc.
I believe we're in alignment more than you know. Just out of character, she was referring to you killing the person who defiled this place. Which
I thought you were talking about the elementals.
No.
Oh, then backtrack. Yes, that's the first step.
You bound your oath because of something you didn't know about the elementals, so you kind of bound your oath to them, essentially.
True.
A pathway is presented to you. As much as we use history to define ourselves, do not let it define your future. Now, forging of a weapon. That will require the Faendal Forge itself, based on what you have told me. An artifact like this does not cow down to ordinary steel and sweat. Tell me, what do you foreknow of Faendal Forges? Of their significance to Dwarvenkind?
Nothing.
Nada.
Sorry. You
Well,
told us maybe.
That's, unsurprising. We dwarves like to keep our forge to ourselves. They are also known as Earth Heart Forges. In the early days of creation, they were formed by the dwarven gods to aid their dwarven children in the early years. From their anvils and furnaces, great artifacts were forged. Armour and weapons to fight back the beasts of the ancient times, and vast machines capable of carving the halls that we now live upon. History and legend talks of 3 such forges having existed. Over time, we were left with 2. We now claim 1. That 1 lives at the capital and is our most sacred site in Kisdemund, and no non-dwarf has ever stepped foot upon it. The other that we know of resides here, and despite having reclaimed this city naught but a year ago, we have been unable to reach it. The denizens of the elemental plane still claim dominion upon the lower tunnels of the hold. Thane Harlson is focused on reclaiming what of the city we have and rebuilding upon it before he endangers the lives of more men in the tunnels beneath. If you came here looking for a Faendal forge, currently we do not have it. I'm sorry.
In theory, if the elementals could be moved, would the forge work? Would we be granted access?
I do not wish to make promises I myself cannot keep. But if the elementals could be removed, we dwarves could reclaim our forge. Whether you would be gained access yourselves is dependent on the Thane's opinion of you. And my opinion of you.
We would never be granted access to the forge at the capital.
I highly doubt it. So, is there anything else I can help you with?
I have nothing.
I think so.
Good evening, and should you have need of me for whatever reason, and she gives a intentful nod towards Thrungi, you can find me at the halls of the ancestors in the inner city. Ask around, someone will get a message to me if you are not permitted entry yet. And she wanders off into the slowly darkening city. To what ends, you don't know.
Probably go arrange some rooms.
I don't want you to fucking sleep on the streets now, do I? You'll end up in jail, and then I'll have to pay for your bail, and then I'll have to claim it back from the guild, and that's a lot of paperwork that I really can't be bothered with. So, Stone Apple.
Makes sense.
Stone Apple. Thank you very much, Bracken. I have no stories for you, and frankly, I need some ale. And he just starts walking off.
You're gonna follow.
You head back to the Stone Apple, which at this point is quite busy. The Stone Apple seems to be a fairly popular guard tavern. There's a number of guards. None of them are wearing kind of armor or anything like that at this point, but just based on the chatter and like you recognise the ones who were on the gate, they do appear to be around and drinking a fair amount. Some dwarven songs are going on as you enter into the tavern. What would you like to do?
I guess we'll go up to the bar to firstly arrange the room, then have something to eat and a drink.
Yeah.
Oh, hi again. Ah,
Hey, Derek.
hi. So you came back. We're quite busy. Drinks or food?
Both, but also would it be possible to arrange for rooms?
Yeah. Hold on. And he pulls out a leather notebook from underneath. She's I've only got 2 rooms at the minute. The other 2 are actually kind of being done up. Is that okay?
That will be fine.
1 gold each for the night, and here you go. Hand you 2 iron keys. Head upstairs. 1 on the left, 1 on the right. First doors. Excellent. Did you want the drinks or food up in your room, or are you gonna?
We'll come down. I'll look at the rest of it.
Yeah. Come down and eat.
Okay. We're quite busy. Just yeah. And he turns off to serve a trio of guys. He's like, "Oi, get over here! Pour some of that ale, would you, Cleric?" Start pouring them ale as you head upstairs. Near watches you walk upstairs. If you don't mind, I'm. Do you need anything more from me tonight, or can I leave?
Please, thank you.
Cool.
You've helped.
See you later. He grabs a tankard off the bar, downs it, and then walks out the door. You head upstairs to your rooms. Who is staying in which room?
I'll go to the left.
Literally exactly what I was going to say. I wasn't even going to like pick a person. I'll go the left room.
Balthazar and Nyah go into one room. Rambear and Thrungi into the other.
The snorers together. That's a good idea.
Good strategy.
You dump your stuff there. Anything you want to discuss while you're up there?
I'm hungry. I'm going back down.
Yeah, we can talk at the table, probably.
Cool. You head back down, grab the attention of Garrick. Manage to find a table that will just about fit the 4 of you. After a couple of guards kind of get up and sort of you kind of like jam into their seats. And it's a little bit talking over the noise of chatter and dwarven chanting, but you have drinks, you have food.
Okay. So, Thrungi, what do you reckon we can do about the situation?
Telling the orc will be a good step.
What do we know about the orc?
Thrungi is the only person who knows anything here.
Yeah.
I've also got terrible notes about this. I'm really sorry.
If I'm correct, he is, and based on what's been said, he is the same orc who led his warband to defeat my forces. And the same orc who nearly killed me.
It's kind of a personal vendetta, as well as maybe favour with the Thane to get us access to the forge.
Aye.
I'm all in. Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll back you up. 100% Thrungi.
An orc tried to kill you? I think he might have only told Nyah this.
Thrungi at this point, who you will notice is not drinking alcohol, tells you the tale in common of the fall of his hope. He tells you of a fateful week where he was instructed to go and find this orc tribe who had been raiding caravans and other settlements, of believing that they had found the forces encamped and pushing through the night to attack dawn, only to find that they had left a small force to hold them up, while the majority headed for the hold. Of him and his remaining forces, probably only half in their number now, marching non-stop for 4 hours to make it back to see the flames starting to lick the outer hold, and how he lost himself in rage as he fought the orc chieftain, waking up to find he was the only one left.
You did all you could, Thrungi. That was not an honorable enemy.
Get him. You will deal with final blow.
Okay. Do we know where this orc is? So that we can go
He's
kill
on the
him?
steps. Where there, I don't think anyone knows.
Pretty large place.
But we do have a bear who can speak with creatures that most rangers can't.
Okay, so tomorrow we can head up straight to the steps for this thing. Do you reckon the orc will recognize you, Thrungi?
I doubt it. I don't look much like I did.
You didn't have the orange hair, or?
No. I also
Used to be a blonde.
I was also armoured when I last faced him.
Now it's nipples out.
Can't imagine you wearing armor, but I think it will work to our advantage if they can't recognize you. Gives us the upper hand.
I guess we sleep the night and head out first thing in the morning. Are there rangers nearby, do you think, that would at least point us in the right direction?
You can speak to the guards. They might be able to point us in the right direction.
Can you think of any weaknesses that we should focus on for the orc? Like how? I mean, if they almost killed you, they're obviously strong. So
Aye, but I will point out that I had just marched for 24 hours.
yeah, they're doomed. Cool.
Go fuck him up.
Okay, in that case, I'm gonna be an absolute party pooper. I'm gonna say no more than like 3 drinks, guys. We have got to have a clear head tomorrow. No hangovers allowed. we have Thrungi's vendetta to fulfill.
Enjoy yourselves. I will
Vengeance, Paladin's
see you in
back.
the morning. And with that, Thrungi heads back to the hearthfire where they were earlier.
Okay.
Let's do.
The hearthfire is relatively empty at this point. It seems even the Hold Scald has headed off to sleep. There's a couple of night watchers tending the fire to make sure it continues burning, but other than that, there's no one around.
Good. He then spends as long as he can without getting a point of exhaustion memorizing names from the wall.
Roll me an investigation check.
What is my investigation? 19.
19. Give me a second, I'm going through notes.
He's not trying to memorize all of them.
No, that's fine. With a 19, you remember, you get some in your head. There is, as I say, hundreds, if not thousands, of names listed here. With a 19, you do find one by the name of Darvar Thrungi.
Eventually he heads to bed.
Eventually, Rambear, you'll have gone to bed by this point. Thrungi, roll me a stealth check.
Let's see. 12.
Rambear, you are aware of him coming in much later after you'd gone to bed.
I pretend to keep on sleeping.
Get into bed. You all get your sleep. Balthazar, roll me a wisdom save, please.
$23.
23. You wake up in the middle of the night feeling quite cold. The two marks on you especially feel like pure ice. But nothing more than that. You feel like maybe something was trying something, but through divine benevolence or your own stubbornness, it didn't find purchase yet.
They've been cold before after waking up, haven't they? And I've woken up in sweats and stuff.
Yeah. You take a little bit of a walk around the room. Nyah's passive perception while asleep is rubbish, you're fine. And you do look out the window, which you realise is facing northwards. And you catch yourself staring, kind of leaning into the window that way a little bit, and then you catch yourself, and then just shake your head and head back to bed.
Yep.
You wake up next morning. None of you drank too much, so don't have that much of a hangover. And it is the next day. And I think we will end this week there, with you preparing to find a way to hunt down an orc along the Bleak Fen steppes. But that is for next time. And so until then, have a good week, and we'll see you soon. Bye.